What's going on, y'all? KM Best here, your favorite 69th ranked Marvel snapper, here to talk to you about a Sera deck that has been sweeping the nation, so to speak. Now, you might have seen it some other places, but I tracked down the guy who built the deck originally, and that is Revis. We're going to jump from this to an interview with him, and then to some footage of me playing the deck on stream. I hope this gives you the complete picture of everything you need to know to succeed with the new Sera control, or as I'm affectionately calling it, Lockdown Corner. I am joined by Revis, who I won't say is the originator of Sera Tech. It's a deck that's been around for forever, but he's definitely the originator of this iteration of Sera Tech, which is probably the best it has ever been in the live release of the game. This was a deck that was extremely powerful in the beta and now has some new tools in the form of Maximus and Gladiator to output points, in addition to being not entirely reliant on those tech cards like Shang-Chi and Enchantress, which honestly might have better homes. Another big point card that goes in here is Miss Marvel, and I think that's actually probably what pushed this over the top. Sera Tech has already been a deck that was light on points. Having cards like a 415, a 3-8, a 2-6 make it such a more powerful deck proactively, and making it less reliant on that tech seems to be what I took away from this. But Revis, I'm interested to hear, first of all, welcome to the show. How did you arrive here?
Yeah, glad to be here. So actually, where I originated with this deck was that I wanted a good Enchantress deck that could beat a lot of the Tribunal decks that content creators were posting last week. That
Ah,
was kind of the main idea. And then I wanted to move away from the Mysterio Monkey and the Angela Kitty stuff in Sera because I thought that was bad and it's kind of been nerfed to the ground. So Maximus and Gladiator were changed in recent OTA. I was like, I'll throw both of those in. I'll try and build around those while still trying to run the Sera stuff.
so I do think that this deck does an admirable job of beating up on those Tribunal decks, not just because of being an Enchantress deck, but also being a Mobius deck. It hits them on both fronts. It seems like a very hard matchup to lose. What I'm interested in is what are your hard matchups to win? Because one of the things that scared me away from playing things like Gladiator in, say, a Loki deck is, oh god, if they get that in the mirror, I'm going to be very upset. And I notice you include the Mobius. Am I correct in assuming that actually is for Loki rather than for like Tribunal stuff?
Yes, Mobius is almost 100% for Loki. It's the only card that really helps you win that matchup. Sometimes you can get away
Yeah.
if they don't have Loki, I guess, and you have your Sarah stuff, like it's fine. But like if they have Loki, you need Mobius. Otherwise, they're just you, but better.
Where have I heard that before? All right. So, the general thing I want to know about, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that might seem obvious to you. We're just going to rapid fire through them, okay?
Alright, definitely.
Maximus, do you ever play it before turn 6?
No, except against lockdown.
Tech cards, are you firing them out instead of a Sera some of the time? How do you prioritize that if you're worried about, say, something protecting that lane? Are you prioritizing the tech or are you prioritizing the Sera?
I prioritize Legion versus Shinnot decks
Mhm.
because they run Leech, and then I will prioritize Mobius versus Loki.
Okay.
After that.
So you're never like, if you have a choice between, say, Sera on 5 against a Monster Island and Shang-Chi on 5, and you're like a little worried about a Professor X, you're still playing the Sera most of the time.
Yeah, I think I'm still playing the Sarah.
Okay.
But
And
rely on Marvel, yeah.
one of the shocking things about this deck to me is that, as far as I can tell, it has literally every tech card in the game. Is there anything you ever look at and you're like, I wish I could fit that in?
So in the first iteration of this list, I had Rogue in it. I
Mm.
believe over Shadow King,
Sure.
but I found Shadow King to be more useful. I think it's a little too much to have Rogue, but I did like it.
Yeah. I do see where it's going. So I think a lot of people are going to ask about the Legion, and it makes sense to me because earlier iterations of Seratek you would play like Scarlet Witch, and Legion is, I think we can all agree, a better version of that card, especially in the context of Shinnot decks playing Cosmo. So Legion is actually an answer. But I actually was wondering, did you ever consider something like Snowguard, alternate versions of the tech for that slot, or was it always just Legion the whole way?
It was always Legion the whole way because I think he was like really underplayed, and his value goes up with a lot of these tech cards, right? You can enable your Shang-Chi with some locations. You can set up for free gladiators and all this stuff, and I think he's like really good. That's just a surprise card when people don't expect it. So that's why I like it in this list.
Now that this list is kind of out there, Cozy covered it, Jeff Hoagland tweeted it, it's out there. What are you worried about happening in the metagame that could make it less good?
I mean, if you know the list, you can kind of predict the power output, especially with Miss Marvel. There's like a pretty limited amount of cards you can put into the Miss Marvel lane, right? So like they know your maximum can be like Gladiator Maximus in the lane, right? So it can be a little bit predictable, and if people are running mirrors, then the list is basically a who gets Mobius match.
Yeah.
That can also be a little bit frustrating, maybe.
Do you think this list benefits heavily from the reduction in lockdown strategies? Like, as a turn 6 deck, how much do you think this list would take a hit if people were playing a bunch of Alioth Professor X stuff still?
So that's the reason I like this list, is because it is good into lockdown. I've actually played that a decent amount in Conquest, and because we have Miss Marvel in here, we are able to get priority. And I was rarely being Goliath because of that. Like we're also running Blizzard, which few decks are running Gladiator, and so if they're setting up a Storm and we're just playing like Blizzard Gladiator in there, it's just like kind of tough for them honestly to contest it sometimes. Um, if they have Doctor Doom, sometimes we do need Legion to open up the lanes, but otherwise it's not too bad, I don't think, from my experience.
One of the things that I've seen discussed in this list is that Lizard slot. I have seen people take him out and put something like Jeff in. What is your thought on that specific replacement?
So yeah, so the original list that I first seen, it was Rogue and Jeff over Lizard and Shadow King.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mentioned the Rogue like being a little bit too much. But the Lizard for Jeff change was mainly because I kind of wanted those extra points. I found myself playing Jeff on the last turn a lot, and I was like, why am I playing Jeff over just like a Lizard? I do think it's kind of fine, but I do think Jeff is a little bit overrated right now, especially if we have Legion to get rid of these locations. I don't see why we can't just play these extra 2 points a lot of the time.
My
So that's why.
worry was the multiple twos, right? We play 4 2s with Miss Marvel, and it's like, I'm really going to want to be able to make sure those are not on the same location. And so, like, that was sort of my thought process with Jeff over Lizard, is it's like, training wheels? Yeah. We have like a little bit of
Yeah,
idiot
definitely.
proofing for our Miss Marvel, which feels worthwhile to me because as an idiot, I have often put myself in situations where my Miss Marvel ends up simply not working. So like that's the one thing that I can think of. I was like, oh yeah, that would actually improve this deck. But other than that, it's like it sprung fully formed out of your head like Athena. Like it's just like, oh, this appeared, and like of course it makes perfect sense. And why wasn't it good previously? So that's what I want to dive into. I mentioned this previously, but like Sera Tech has never really been good since the beta, where it was a combination tech and power deck. And 3 cards have allowed it to become that again: Maximus, Gladiator, and I think most importantly, Miss Marvel. Would this deck exist without Miss Marvel?
Honestly, no. She's too good.
Is that actually like she's just actually too good?
Especially with Sabu, like
Yeah.
she just like fits in so well, and she's pretty much free. Like it's pretty easy to set her up. Yeah, the multiple two things, you are right. It can be a little bit tricky. But if you do run Jeff, like it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like we're never Shang-Chi and Enchantress in the same lane, so there's not really any fours competing for the same lane. It's so smooth in here, and like you can just not activate her arms if you want to dodge priority, right? So and you still basically have 5 points there in the last turn. So it's just like it fits so well that it's just like I think it'd be hard to play without her. Yeah.
Yeah, like it when I look at what the difference is, one of the things that really strikes me is I've played Sera Tech decks that just had a Doctor Doom in them before, and that was just like discounting 6 cost Doctor Doom to 5 and playing it alongside a 2 drop. And this one is like discounting 4 cost Doctor Doom to 2. And it's like, oh yeah, no, that's why this deck is good. That's why this deck works again, is because it actually has legit power. It has legit points. It's not doing gimmicky Angela Kitty stuff. It's not doing God, RIP to Angela. It's not doing hit monkey stuff. It's doing stuff that is actual consistent points that outputs just an enormous amount of power on the final turn of the game. If you have Zabu and Sera on the board, you can play 2 4s, one of which is Miss Marvel, one of which is a tech card, and then you can also play like a Gladiator or a Maximus. It's a very, very, very powerful final turn. You're doing something like 25 power plus one of your tech cards, which is effectively usually 10 plus. And so you have these like 30, 35 point final turns. And that is what makes this deck work, is that you are able to do that with genuine consistency. Now, I also wanted to ask about the way you use ongoing cards to protect your Miss Marvel, because that's something that came up for me a lot, was like when I was thinking about actual upsides for Lizard, it's that you can slap him in the Miss Marvel lane, and if they rogue him, it's like, oh yeah, got you, right? Like that's
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about how you have to think about positioning throughout the game in this deck.
Yeah, so that's like really important. I found myself in the Loki matchup. A lot of Lokis were running Rogue, so I was frequently putting Zabu in the middle just from the start. Mobius sometimes on my Zabu lane, and similarly Miss Marvel if I know they have Rogue. I play a lot of Conquest, so usually I can figure out my opponent's tech card. And then I was like, yeah, I mean Lizard does help with that too. So I didn't originally think of that, but like once I was in games, I was like, oh, I should just put my Lizard onto the important ongoing lanes. And it's just like, if they take a 50-50, they just get like a -2 rogue. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty rough. So
yeah,
it's a nice perk.
It's definitely one of those things where it's like, one of the reasons I like Mobius a lot right now in Miss Marvel decks is because of that, right? Like I have him like flickering in and out of my deck, my Loki deck for Nick Fury, who I don't really like, but I don't really hate either. And so Mobius comes in and out, and it's like whenever Mobius is in there, yeah, he's great, but also I can just be sure that they're taking a 33%er on that rogue. That is like what's actually valuable about this. So what does the ideal game look like for you when you're playing this deck?
Ideal game is you want your cost reduction, right? So you want to play out Zabu, you want to play out your Mobius so that they can't out cost reduction you. A lot of the times Miss Marvel you can play out on turn 4. Sometimes I honestly just pass. Or it depends if you're against lockdown, you have to be more aggressive. But if you can get an empty Sera on turn 5, you can just like play out most of your hand anyways. So and then you're looking at like Miss Marvel, Gladiator, Maximus, and whatever tech card wins you the game on the last turn. But
let's
locations
say,
heavily affect this too.
Sure. Let's I'm gonna throw a hypothetical at you.
Yeah.
You don't have a Sera or a Zabu in your hand. It's turn 3. You're looking at like you've played a Lizard. Your hand is like, you know, Shang, Mobius, Gladiator, Enchantress, stuff like that. It's not a matchup where Mobius is particularly good. How often are you just running a Gladiator out there and taking and rolling those dice?
Pretty often. I found Gladiator to pretty much never backfire. Like into Thanos, it can sometimes, but like they have so many random stones in their deck where it's not too bad. Yeah, I'll throw a Gladiator out there pretty frequently. Like there's like 95% of the time I feel like it's a decent hit. Yeah, I feel like this meta there's just like no Chavez, there's no Lockjaw.
Yeah, I mean, like, RIP, right? Like people talk about the 8th power, but if he was still pulling every Chavez out of the deck, the card that is guaranteed to be in your deck, he'd probably end up being a lot worse. But as is, I found the same thing. It's just like, oh, I'll play a 3/8. He's a 3/8. And then whatever he pulls, it's like, you know, that sucks, but also I got a 3/8, right? People talk about the Yondu stuff where it's like, yeah, you know, deck thinning helps your opponent. Sure. But also, if Yondu was a 3/8, I'd play a lot more Yondu. And Gladiator's a 3/8. And like I feel like I can only say the letters or the numbers, Jesus, 3 and 8 so many times before people get that it's like, yeah, those stats are unbelievable. They're extremely premium right now, and you should absolutely focus on them. So 3/8. Do you have any advice for someone who has never picked up this deck before, hasn't played this style of deck before, has been playing like Loki or Darkhawk for a while? Anything different about this?
I think the biggest difference, especially if you're used to playing like Darkhawk style decks, is like you will saving your tech cards is pretty important. Like you don't need to play on curve here. A lot of times, like it's fine to Zabu on 3 or Mobius on turn 4, and leave like this floating mana. A lot of it you can gain back, even with Sera, and even if you don't, like it is important. Like it's kind of a cube equity deck where it's like if you can, you want to save your tech cards for the last turn, your power for the last turn. So keeping track of like um, how much you'll be able to play. So like keep track of your mana so that you don't end up with like all your cards in your hand, obviously. But usually you can afford to pass and throw a priority, especially um, for these tech cards.
How often are you not a Sarah deck? Like, obviously, some amount of the time you don't draw her, but how often are you just playing normal mid range, and how competent are you as a mid range deck?
It's a pretty solid mid range plan. I would say maybe like 25% of the time we're playing like a mid-range deck. We're just playing like Lizard into Gladiator into Miss Marvel into Legion, a location that like wins us a game like Vault or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's pretty solid. Like it's just a lot of stats that honestly most decks aren't really doing. There's no like Silk deck out there really. The only thing I can think of that really could keep up is Loki stealing the same cards that we're playing. Uh, but
Yeah.
other than that, most stuff are trying to like combo you and that kind of stuff, so they
Yeah.
can't really keep up.
No, I also think this is super well positioned because of that, right? Like, there are some issues that you're gonna have. Like, for example, I don't know if you ever beat like the card Hella on ever. I just don't think you do it. But like, that's the kind of issue a lot of decks randomly have. And you have answers to like most other things you're gonna see. But like, yeah, some of the time you're just gonna like die randomly to something like, okay, my opponent played Wong White Tiger Odin. Oh, well, that's actually, I probably just died to that. Like, that's you just died of weird stuff. But like in the actual metagame, I feel like what this does is succeed against what most people are playing. And if you run into that weird stuff, you can just leave. So like how important is you play Conquest for the most part, right? Like I know you've been a top 10 ranked ladder gamer, but I also know you realized that wasn't really for you. And so you've been like Conquest only for a while. What does it feel like when you get locked in there in one of those matchups where like your Shang-Chi doesn't do anything, your Enchantress doesn't do anything? What are you like? Your Shadow King doesn't do anything. You got like 3 dead cards. What are you trying to do in those matchups?
In those matchups, I generally try and get a lot of cubes off of a bad draw for them because if you notice, all the decks you listed are kind of inherently weak to themselves.
Yeah.
This deck is actually pretty weak into Black Knight, is something I realized.
Oh
But the thing
yeah.
is, if you play into the Black Knight deck, it's super inconsistent. So
Right.
it's just as soon as they don't get the thing, like make sure you just snap aggressively, like and just take advantage. Lots of them are pretty hesitant to retreat, and they can't retreat every game. They don't have Black Knight, right? Like that's just a little bit too much. So you have to take advantage of poor draws in that situation.
So, what are some of I'm going to throw decks at you and you tell me like what your tell would be for when it's time to be aggressive, okay?
Go for it.
Uh Mr. Negative.
Anytime they don't turn 3 negative, I'm snapping.
Okay, yeah, like it's like if they miss the Zabu, they miss the Psylocke, they miss the Ravona, whatever it is. If they miss that on 2,
Yep,
you snap it then? Yeah. Okay.
I'm snapping right away. Yeah.
Okay. Hella.
Hmm. I mean, Hella is probably would try to snap by turn 4 if they're not discarding anything crazy. If it's the Lockjaw Hella, probably snapping when they don't have Lockjaw. If it's Invisible Woman, that's a bit tougher. Um, yeah, Hella. I haven't played against Hella. I'll be honest.
Good.
If they just don't
I
discard
don't
stuff,
recommend it. It's like, one thing that stuck out to me is sometimes you're just in these situations where it's like, I could maybe win on points. And that's not something a Sarah deck normally gets to say. But like you get in these spots where it's like, yeah, if I get like lucky enough, I could maybe do it. The problem is like once like one Infinite enters the pool, you're just like, oh god, well wherever that goes, I lose. And then you end up in like really dicey gambling territory. Okay, here's another combo deck for you that I wanted to throw at you. If you were playing against someone who was playing Wong, what would your snap strategy be? Would it just be like they miss Wong, you snap, or would you snap before then?
I would probably snap before then. I mean, if we don't have Enchantress, it's a little bit tricky.
Hold on, you
The only thing
froze.
I would,
Oh, you're back. Sorry, start from the beginning of the question. Your video froze for a second.
yeah, no worries. It depends. So we have Enchantress, so I wouldn't be too worried about Wong if we have
Mhm.
that. If we don't, um, I might wait to see if they have
Yeah.
tigers or not. 'Cause I think we can deal with most non-tiger strategies. Like Black Panther is pretty straightforward. You just
Yeah.
Shang it or Shadow King it. Ironheart, you can Shadow King it. I'm not sure what else people do with Wong. I'll be honest. It's just White Tiger. So
I literally
that one
lost to
I'm
the White
waiting to
Tigers.
see.
That's not even a
I'm
joke.
just waiting for the White Tiger.
I literally lost to the White Tigers. That actually happened. I was just like, oh, huh. All right. I guess I died. That's 28 power. Well done.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
I think it's quite
That
there. So,
sucks. She-Not. Is that a deck you feel you have to play aggressively into, or is that just like, God, I hope I get Legion?
uh, I mean, so yeah, we need Legion there. Mobius helps quite a bit as well,
Mm-hmm.
but Legion's. I mean, that's part of the reason I put Legion in here. It's just such good hate against the Leech Shinnot. But like if we get it, like we're outstatting them every time. Honestly, even with Mobius, sometimes we can outstat them. Because like Maximus becomes better, Lizard becomes better, Gladiator becomes better, all when leeched. So as long as we put out like our Miss Marvel, if we can get a good Killmonger, that's huge in that matchup.
Yeah.
Um, so like if we get that Killmonger, even without Legion, I think it's pretty comfortable.
One
Um,
of the things that really strikes me about this deck as we're going through this is just like it has everything it needs. Because it's able to get its power out of such a small suite of cards. And we talked about this when we talked about like how indispensable Miss Marvel is. It can just account for so many situations. Like Shadow King, you know what Shadow King does in this deck? It undoes every Cyclops from High Evo, right? Like it undoes that. You know what Killmonger does in this deck? Yeah, it also kills Thanos stones, but it also kills the one drops from High Evo or the Loki bounce deck or the Quinjet that you've got to kill because you didn't draw Mobius. And Mobius, of course, he's doing triple duty, right? He's great against the Evo stuff because they're soaking for She-Hulk. He's great against Loki because, duh, he's good against every Zabu deck, every mirror you'll run into. And then it feels like every single card in here is doing multiple things across multiple matchups, except the ones that are just insane stats, which do everything in every matchup because stats win games. And I guess when I look at this, I'm just like, I don't even know what I would change. Is there anything you'd think about changing?
I think the only things that can be changed are like the Lizard versus the Jeff. And then, I mean, if Loki doesn't become popular, sometimes you can think about cutting the Mobius. But I really like the Mobius. It's been like
Oh, no.
there's like random locations too that help a lot, and but maybe there's a future where maybe there's no Loki and no She-Hulk. Then you want to
Yeah.
maybe run Cosmo for those Wong decks that are going to be the next big thing.
Oh, for sure.
Uh, but yeah, those would be maybe the two slots. I think Legion is just too good, honestly, to cut. Um, maybe
Have you
Shadow.
ever have you done Mobius into like Legion Elysium? Have you pulled that off
Uh,
yet?
I have not, but I saw a lot of people. I
Yeah.
posted the deck when the hot location came out, so a lot of people were sending me that, and they're like, "Thank you for the deck," and I was like, "I guess it's the deck that does it, but it's really just the two cards."
No, it's the deck. You invented it. You invented Mobius Elysium. That's what you did. Speaking of which, any closing messages? And if not, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, I guess the only closing message I would give is don't get frustrating if the deck is difficult. I think Sera Tech in general is kind of hard to play. Knowing like when to throw priority and when to not to is tricky, especially when we're running Miss Marvel, which can something I was messing up a lot was gaining priority with her all her points because she's a lot of points.
Wait,
So
I
got it.
sorry, we were about to do a closing thing, but now I want to talk about that. Please elaborate. That seems like something people should know.
The Miss Marvel
Yeah.
throwing priority. Yeah, so you have to be very careful when you are trying to throw priority, even with Sera. I found myself sometimes like in matchups where it's super crucial to throw priority, just like playing almost all my cards mid. I have like 3 cards mid, like Zabu, Ms. Marvel, Sera mid. just to like make sure I don't have priority. So like it feels awkward, but like it's correct in some matchups where your opponent's also playing for you not to throw priority. So it was some really weird board states, but it's part of the deck. And
What
like
matchups?
that some like big stats matchups are the main thing. I think there was a Shuri game where it was like really back and forth on trying to do that. Um and yeah, I mean, if you're trying to surprise your opponent as well with Killmongers, like, that can be important. Uh, I'd say those are the two main things.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. This whole conversation, though, is convincing me that we should run Jeff. Like, not only can you use Jeff to be
Maybe,
in the
maybe.
middle and throw priority, you can also use him to turn off your Miss Marvel and throw priority and then get it back. I feel like I'm convincing myself on the Jeff. Anyway.
You might be convincing me on the Jeff too. Yeah, that does lessen the awkwardness of putting it in the middle.
Yeah, it seems compelling to me, at least. Tell them where they can find you.
All right. I'm mainly a Twitch streamer, so you can check out RevisMS on Twitch. But I also do have a YouTube, a Revis Marvel Snap. So basically just that, but extended. So definitely check it out. There's highlights on there. I do some YouTube exclusive content. Try and keep up to date with all the competitive and competitive beating decks. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Also, if you click the team banner on under my stream, you'll be able to find Revis as well. I've had this thing. I haven't had a chance to mention it, but I've had it running for a while now. It's just like I got a bunch of my friends on like a stream team, which does absolutely nothing except if you click the button, you can see Revis's stream and Lambie's stream and Moyen's stream, assuming he ever figures out how to stream again, and W's stream, assuming he ever figures out how to stream again. And I feel like I'm sensing a pattern. But yes, you will be able to. You can also find Revis from there if you're ever on my Twitch, which I imagine at least some people watching this are. Revis, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to end this with what I consider one of the funnier anecdotes about you, which is where your name came from.
Go for it.
You want to tell them?
I mean, so my name comes from Darrell Revis, who is an NFL cornerback, best of all time, in my opinion.
Yes. This is like Revis is like the only other guy who plays Marvel Snap and watches sports like regularly. There are not a lot of us. It's like me, Revis, and W. I'm leaving this whole thing in the video, by the way. Now, the reason I bring up the Revis thing is because playing cornerback in the NFL is an extremely difficult task, and it requires you to read and react to someone who is executing their game plan against you and then shut them down at the sort of moment of truth, the completion of the route, right? And that's what this deck is about. So I think it could not be any more fitting that the person who created, shut down Sera is named after Darrell Revis, the ultimate shutdown corner. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Remember to check out Revis. I have been KM Best. I will see you in the next one. Don't like that. Lambier's playing Zabu and Loki. I don't like it. But what do I know? Alright, I run the card Enchantress. I happen to run the card Enchantress. Castle Blackstone. Can we establish both of these or no? I wonder. Which one is more valuable to us? Interesting. Dead. So, like, this feels pretty compelling to me because we have not only Killmonger but also Enchantress here. I did not enjoy Zabu and Loki when I tried it either, Wild Speaker. Can't tell you much other than that. I didn't like it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I do not want to get Cosmoed. But if you're playing Patriot, you probably... Oh my god. Alright, maybe they're going to beat my ass. Maybe they have the Cosmo and they know where to play it. Let's find out. Yeah? Mystique Cosmo? Nope. God, I feel bad. Indeed. 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 There was so many kills, someone else's death just became free. Hey, yo. Okay. I think I will do this, as I am not a Darkhawk deck. Good hit. Definitely a good hit. I don't like playing the Miss Marvel early. Part of what I like about this deck is that I don't have to fucking do that. But with the Zabu there to protect it from potential rogues... Boy, I am the dumbest man alive, aren't I? Okay, check me out. Unironically, check me out. We kill their rogue and get extra points on the Patriot. Can we slow down opponent, just curve Psylocke into rogue Spider-Man 2099? It's fine. Fucking, it's fine. Holy shit, it killed the Patriot. Awesome. Wait. Uh-huh. Solid. Okay. Let's do it, baby! Dude, they're cooking my ass. They have no cards in deck, by the way. Just letting you know. The Gladiator's actually just free. The Gladiator and the Maximus are actually just free here. I don't know. We died of some shit, but I'm not gonna not play it. Sure. Is this Infinity Conquest? Yes. I'm gonna lose this game anyway? Yes. Okay, what are the other cards in your deck? God, Uh-huh. Well, it looks like we win. Julio! Yeah. The clever play of just give them a gladiator. Yeah, and Shadow King. They're doing a lot of shit. Their deck is so common, so meta. I know, dude. Meta is shit. This is the new meta. To be fair, our deck is fucking weird, too. Ain't like our deck is fucking the most common thing of all time. We made a play that just, like, hard lost to Dr. Doom on the theory that the card is too good for them to play. Behold! Lazard. Favorite Sera deck ever? So many stats? Yeah. What are you doing awake at, like, a normal time for you? That's weird. Gladiator's cooking. I had to be a Singapore person today. Tragic? That is tragic. Apologies. Alright, so this Mobius is never gonna fucking do anything. Actually, I'm putting a Mobius here to protect from Spider-Man 2099. I gotta play around the 2099 here. I can't run the risk of getting 2099, do you see? I can't run that risk. Be careful of the extremely common Heimdall tech. That's a good point. God damn, it actually is a Heimdall, isn't it? It's actually so fucking happening. For the love of God. For the love of God. Uh-huh. This is a big unit. Lives through man thing. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't fucking know, dude. The fucking Spider-Man 2099's about to blow her up. Oh god, Mobius, I need you to get hit off the 2099, please. Mobius, please. Holy shit. I'm actually gonna die here, right? Yeah, I think I'm actually dead. Yeah. Fucking find out. I don't know what's happening here, but I bet it's not good for me. I bet it ain't good. Let's go, dude. Come on, show me. Show me what you got. If he snaps, it's always rogue mid. Dude, that happened last time. It actually shit on me. He like played a rogue into my Zabu and it beat my ass. All right, where's it going? Mobius, 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 Mobius. Yes! Our boy! He did it! He took the hit! Did it matter in any way? No. It didn't. But it was funny to watch him die to it. We calculated it. Calculado. They call me El Calculador because of how fucking high level my calculations are, chat. He protect. But most importantly, he play from deck. Mobius screwed him in his bounce play. Oh shit, I didn't... Yo, he's broken, dude. Fucking broken. Mobius is the best card in the game. Holy shit. He protect. He attack. But most importantly, he make Beast suck his dick from the back. Oh my god. Oh my god. The reason I'm not just jamming that lizard into the left lane, by the way, is because if I get Legion off that, it's just the worst game of all time. Is Gladiator worth collector's tokens? Fuck, I don't know, dude. Okay, Jesus. All right, Jesus. Oh, God. Okay. There are so many ways this one could go medium for me. Okay, that's actually really good against the death deck. Deadpool, of course, fucking sucks. That Mobius doesn't do shit for me. And I am concerned going forward here. Okay. I'm hoping I pull a null now and I can just kill it. That is relevant information. That is definitely relevant information. Okay, they got the Deadpool copies. Are those even good? They're like one away from being really good, right? It's gonna be like a 1-8. Oh my. That is quite an impressive Shadow King. Or at least it could be. It could be quite an impressive Shadow King. Is that a Venom? Okay, a Carnage. Damn, that ain't big enough for me to be, like, happy about. Uh-huh? I mean... they have a death, I'm pretty fucked, right? And it seems pretty likely that they have a death. Oh, MMM does save me from death. That's a good point. Okay, so it's like... Enchantress goes over here to go 10 on Sakaar. And then the question is, where does the Shadow King go? I think it goes mid. Well, they just didn't play any cards. So that's probably bad for them. That's less than ideal for our opponent, I think. They then connected to the next game. All right, I gotta admit, I don't particularly have a grasp on what happened there. I don't particularly have a grasp on what happened there. Not sure I get it. I am actually happy to get a Sentinel. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I don't hate it. Why would they split those up? Now I don't want to play Gladiator because they're a Shang-Chi deck. That's very awkward. Oh, buddy. Snap on this? Yeah. It is very late for me. For sure. Ba-boom! No big Deadpool for you, dude. Only the tiniest of Deadpools. Minuscule, small guy Deadpool. Nazgul, thank you for the prime. Look at how small that Deadpool is. Everyone point and laugh. Everyone point and laugh at the tiny Deadpool. All right, you know what? I bet this hurts them more than it hurts me. This is the wager I'm making. They have 2 cards in hand. Okay, I think I may have been wrong about that wager. Chance I was wrong about that. I don't think I want to play the Gladiator. Do I want to play the Gladiator and just be like, I'm gonna die? Fuck yeah, let's go. I'm an idiot. Let's rock it. Oh. Okay, looks like we just win everything anyway. Yeah. Gladiator killing their whole board, their whole lane. Gladiator goes crazy, dude. Oh my god. Ballistic Missile Gladiator. Okay, well, eventually I'll get a card I want to play. There are several of those in the deck. Let's fucking go, baby. Wait a minute, wait. Much funnier. Much funnier to do this. Dead. I lost my Sera, which fucking sucks. God damn it. Oh, that's annoying. God damn. That's a lot of energy. Boy. That's tough. Whew. It's a cold game. It's a cold game. Yeesh.
I completely lost audio now.
That's because I accidentally hit the mute button on my mic.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just me. Okay.
No.